What a nightmare scenario in Corvallis as Oregon State falls to Houston in overtime. Yes, welcome on into the Pac-12 Daily Podcast reaction show. Oregon State falling to Houston and Oregon State moving to 0-5. I'm Christian Rao, your host. We're going to dig right into it. Hit that subscribe button if you want more from the new Pac-12. We're going to cover that right here on this channel. But tonight, we're talking about Friday night's matchup between Oregon State and Houston, and this was a game that shouldn't have ended the way it did. 27-24, Houston taking it, moving to 4-0 on the year, but they should have lost this football game. They were down 24-10 with 6 minutes, just a little over 6 minutes to go in this football game, and Oregon State just let them right back in. Felt predictable. Felt really predictable when you were starting to just sit back and say, okay, this kind of feels like Fresno State again. This feels exactly like what Trent Bray has allowed this team to do all season long. I had no confidence in that final 6 minutes, and it proved. It absolutely proved. I audibly laughed out loud when that final field goal was blocked in regulation to go to overtime because it just felt so predictable. And I hate that I did it, but it's there. It's absolutely there. The special teams coach, Jamie Christian, he's long overdue. He's got to go. You have to make a change at the very minimum in the special teams department. And that's even if Trent Bray is still allowed to make those decisions. Maybe he will be gone finally. And I think that choice finally needs to happen. After tonight's game, losing to Houston, he now moves to 5-12 as head coach at Oregon State. And he's currently 0-5 on the season. This is the worst start for Oregon State. This 0-5 record, worst start since 1996, folks. This is absolutely terrible nightmare scenario territory for the Beavers. And again, just can't happen. This shouldn't have happened. This should be a reaction show where we're talking about a win and possibly some good things to come for Oregon State. But instead, you are going to 0-5, your worst start since 1996. And again, you were up 24-10 with just a little bit more than 6 minutes to go. And Houston wasn't being world beaters in this second half. And that's what's really frustrating. The reason you got up for that moment, you got up to 24-10 is because the first 4 drives of Houston were in the second half were absolutely terrible. I wrote them down. I added them all together for you. In the first 4 drives of the second half, Houston had 4 punts because there was 4 3-and-outs. And in those 4 drives, they had a total combined of 5 total yards. And somehow, Oregon State let this team stick around, just like they did in Fresno State, let them stick around, and then eventually come back and win this football game. It's a terrible feeling if you are a fan of Oregon State, if you're a fan of the Pac-12, because this could have been an easy win, an easy steal from a up-and-coming Big 12 program in Houston. And instead, you're walking away 0-5, one of only, 3 teams in the entire FBS that is yet to win a game yet, and one of them is in Corvallis. The defense wasn't all terrible, though. I want to give that out, and definitely there's some 4 names that really stuck out to me on the defense, and we got to talk about them. First, Aiden Sullivan was absolutely everywhere. He was insane. He led the team in tackles with 13, had 7 solos as well, according to the ESPN chat board. I know that usually updates later on, so those numbers are probably not official, but he was everywhere, and he definitely did lead the team in tackles. I'm sure when it comes official, that will still remain the same. Skylar Thomas also had a great game. According to ESPN, he was second in the team in tackles. Great game from Skylar Thomas. Jacob Suster had 2 sacks, and that was really impressive from him. And then, of course, Trey Glasper, the young guy that we've continued to hear about week in and week out, gets an interception on the season, and just a really great and a really awesome story from him. Started the season off as a 17-year-old, now only 18 years old. Trent Bray did come out with a quote earlier in the week, said, "I've been really impressed with Trey's mentality, toughness, and durability. For such a young guy, he's had really good moments, and he'd had some balls caught on him, but that's the life of a corner, and I think he's got tremendous potential," where he had that potential shown, giving the first turnover of the year against an undefeated Houston Cougars team. The first interception for Connor Wegman on the season went to 18-year-old Trey Glasper. Really like that. Really like that one as well. So there's some good things to take from this defense, but just a dreadful game overall because we should be going into this game, this reaction show, being excited, maybe looking forward to what we can see next week when they have to make a long journey. We'll talk about in just a second what they have to do in next week's game. Can they get their first win before getting their 6th loss of the season? We'll see if that happens. Malik Murphy was up and down in this one to me. Completely up and down. So his accuracy just wasn't there as well. 20 for 33. That's good enough for 58% on the completions. And he was only 50% on completions. I believe 4 for 8 in his passing, and they still found a way to get up 14-0 because they relied on the running game. And that running game wasn't all Anthony Hankerson. Although Hankerson did have 23 carries for 24 yards, they had 40 carries between 2 running backs on this one. They should have stuck around and kept going with the running backs, but they decided to keep going to the pass for some reason, the inaccuracies of Malik Murphy. But Cornell Hatcher Jr., the redshirt freshman, 17 carries for 93 yards and a touchdown. He is easily the player of the game for this entire Oregon State team. If they're winning, you're talking about him being the MVP. You're talking about him being a player that we should maybe get more snaps and start sharing this load with Anthony Hankerson a little bit more, because he really looked good between the tackles, good going north and south on the field. Really liked what I saw from the redshirt freshman. Awesome stuff from Oregon State's offense there. Trent Walker gets another 100-yard reception on the season, another 100-yard receiving game on the season on 7 receptions. It's his 2nd one of the year and his 4th one of his career. So there's good things you can take from this game. And that's not something we've done in the past from these Oregon State games, the first 4 especially. The Fresno State game was just overshadowed by the special teams blunders, although there was plenty of special teams issues on this one. 2 blocked field goals, one that ended in regulation, and then the fact that in overtime, you didn't even kick a field goal. You went forward on 4th down and 1, and then you were short. You didn't make it in overtime because you didn't trust your kicking unit. That alone should tell you right there. If Trent Bray can make one more decision at Oregon State, that decision needs to be relieving the duties of Jamie Christian. You have to just make a change. You have to. And who knows if that actually helps anything, because I know there's issues with the long snap on the roster right now with the depth of the long snapping, but you have to make some sort of statement just to show that you are trying to keep this program afloat with a pulse. If not, and I think this is the right answer to do either way, you got to let Trent Bray go. You have to move on from Trent Bray after the record that he has after 2 seasons. You are at a point right now, you're through 5 games in the season. Maybe you can hold off on some of these guys redshirting and hitting the portal. Maybe you can save some of these younger players from leaving. Maybe you can find a coach before UCLA and some of these other coaches that have openings and vacancies in programs, and start yourself up to a better start with this new Pac-12 starting in July of 2026. I don't think Trent Bray's the answer. I'm pretty sure they know that as well. Waiting around to the end of the season will be another nightmare to add on to the nightmare that's already happening here at Oregon State with an 0-5 finish. It was a winnable game, and that's what kills us. That's what kills this feeling right now. It was a winnable game, and they let it slip to the side, and I can't help but feel that it feels exactly like Fresno State at the beginning of the season. Well, next, there's a big road trip for Oregon State. Next week, they travel to the other side of the country, like 3,000 miles to Appalachian State to take them on Saturday morning. It'll be a 12:30 Pacific time game, so actually 3:30 Eastern local time, ESPN+. Appalachian State hasn't been the greatest team this year. They're 2-1 on the season. They haven't been impressive. However, their former coach, Sean Clark, did just pass away this week. They might have a lot to play for, and they might be changing it up. We might see how they look. Maybe they'll be a different team than they have been so far this season. Looking at their 2-1 record, they've beat Charlotte 34-11, Lindenwood 20-13, and they did fall to Southern Miss 38-22. They do take on Boise State in Boise on Saturday. So we'll see how they look. A perfect chance to check out them with a new Pac-12 team taking them on at Boise State. Lots of stuff to unpack here, but either way, this is a game that shouldn't have happened the way it ended. A nightmare scenario for Oregon State, moving to 0-5 for the first time since 1996. Trent Bray's got to go. Jamie Christian definitely needs to pack his bags. And you have to find a way to overcome this if you're going to stick around with these coaches. But I don't think that's the right decision. I think you start getting some nice things with young running backs. Try to see what you have in the youth. Try to save some of these guys and make them feel like they belong in this community, in this program, so they don't transfer out. Because when programs go down the drain, like this season's happening for Oregon State, that's the first thing to happen. These younger players with potential redshirt and hit the portal, and then you are in a worse boat the year next and the year next after that, because you're still trying to build up all the players you've lost. Let me know your thoughts in the comment description below. I want to know what you think. If you stayed up late and watched this football game, leave me a comment and let me know how you thought about this game. 24-10 with 6 minutes to go, and you lose this one 27-24 in overtime. Did it feel predictable to you? Are you an Oregon State fan, and does that resonate to you? Did it feel predictable when you were up 24-10 and then all of a sudden you're down, that kick in with the game expiring gets blocked? Didn't it feel almost hysterical? It's not a good feeling to have. We'll talk more about Oregon State in the future. We're going to cover the post-game, the presser, and so much more throughout the week right here on the Pac-12 Daily.